All right, let's go to Friday. ACC matchup, Virginia, Syracuse. This is Syracuse 10-point home favorites, 55 the total. It's the Robert and I Bowl. That's what this is. Robert and I facing his old team. Of course, former Virginia offensive coordinator under Bronco Mendenhall did a nice job there. Look at that passing attack last year, Armstrong. And now with Syracuse as the offensive coordinator under Dino Babers. And really, to be quite honest with you, this offense has done well. Now, for the first time this year, they didn't have a good first half. No question. They didn't have a good 3 quarters, to be quite honest, against Purdue on Saturday. But, boy, did they get things rolling in the fourth quarter of that game, including the most important play. Now, one of those was a pick six, too. But, Garrett Schrader was held in check, but finally got things going later in the game. The run game started to work with Tucker and with Schrader as a dual threat at quarterback. His passing numbers weren't good, but at least he avoided the mistakes. No interceptions, even though his completion rate was sub 50%, 13 of 29, 181 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. But nevertheless, what a crazy finish. Purdue takes the lead with 51 seconds left, 29-25, and then Syracuse comes right down the field needing a touchdown, and they get it. Now, penalty aided. Purdue had a couple really bad penalties there on that final drive, aiding the cause for Syracuse, but give the Cuse credit. They found a way, and they end up getting that in crazy victory. Now, I was on the lucky side of this with the over, but good gracious, if you had the under in this game, that is as bad as it gets. That is horrible to lose that the way you did. You deserved a better fate. The under was like just completely cruising after 3 quarters. And then, as sometimes happens in football, all hell breaks loose in the fourth quarter, and then things completely change. Virginia, I haven't been impressed. They didn't cover against Richmond. They lost outright, lost to Illinois 24-3. Offense didn't work. They barely survived Old Dominion 16-14 on Saturday. And again, where has this passing attack gone? It's kind of been stagnant. It's not been what it was last year under Robert and I. So that's concerning here for Virginia going into this game. It's tough. This is a tough one because I think Syracuse has proven they're right now a notch or two better than Virginia. But are you ready to lay 10? They are making a point spread adjustment here with Virginia. They're 0-3 ATS. They haven't covered a number yet. They haven't looked particularly good. They barely beat Old Dominion. They get crushed by Illinois, the one really decent team they've played. They could get crushed here, too, if that offense doesn't start to get going a little bit. Their defense actually played pretty well against Old Dominion last week, but it's a tricky game here. It's definitely not a great spot for Syracuse. They expend their gas tank to come back against Purdue, and now you're playing on a Friday night, albeit no travel, still at home, but coming off that miraculous, incredible, emotional, very hard-fought game and having to play again in less than a week. It's not an easy spot for Syracuse, but it's a tough one for me, to be quite honest here. Syracuse, the lean, but I don't know if I want to lay 10. They've certainly upgraded Syracuse, and they have certainly downgraded Virginia a little bit in terms of this current point spread. What do you think here, C-Mac?
Yeah, I want to hit up the chat here real quick. Jedi for Life, what's up, you? W. Smith, G. Martinez, my man Don Play, Matt Stoney, good to see you. Rants, up in here, up 5. Nut Flush Allen, great to see you, my man BJ. Hit the like button, do all that fun stuff, retweet our shit. We'd appreciate it. This game is fascinating. They talked about Syracuse, a little bit short week, no travel, though, here at home. They've just been good in the Dome. And, yeah, what a thrilling game to come down and beat Purdue there in the end. Schrader's been good. He hasn't thrown a pick all year. Their receivers have been great for the Orange. So I think they score some points here, but I think this total is a little too high. Other than that last game that just snuck over, Ian, that you mentioned, these underbetters with Purdue, 4 of their last 5 before that went under. And the Cavaliers just can't score. This doesn't seem like the same team. The same offense, like you mentioned, with Armstrong going on the road here. If I get over 10, so this is the ultimate people right now. Syracuse playing so good, they think this is, public's just going to lay 10. They should beat Virginia easily, but I think this might be just a bit too many in this one. So this is one I'm going to sit on for the rest of the week. Maybe I can get a little bit more and maybe look Virginia's way. And I'm going to look under, especially if this moves up, which it has a little bit. We get like the 56, 57. I'm going to look to the under here.
Yeah, I mean, people are going to see last week it went over the total, Purdue and Syracuse, and I was a benefactor of that, but be careful. I mean, that game was a dead nuts under for 3 quarters, and it only got there because the fourth quarter went batshit crazy with the two teams scoring left
Virginia
and right.
scored 3 at Illinois. I mean, they just got 16. This offense isn't the offense of last year. So,
no, it is not. No, it is not. And I still think Syracuse's defense has shown that they're better. Now, at times they struggled with, and I think that times they struggled against Purdue, but Jeff Brom's a good offensive coach, all right, and Aiden O'Connell's a good quarterback as well. So they struggled a little bit there, but they weren't terrible. It's just that they weren't quite as good as they were against Louisville and the game before that against UConn. So I'd be careful with the over because if you bet, last week it went over, it went over only because the fourth quarter went wild. So be careful with that. By the way, before we move on to the next game, one last point about this one. Preseason point spread for this game, Virginia-Syracuse had Syracuse as a less than a field goal home favorite. Look at the adjustment here. Yeah.